In this video series, you will learn how to use Drupal for content management. Drupal is an excellent program for content management, and best of all, it's free. Now what we're going to do is show you how to install it. Now there are two ways to do it. You can either download the files and upload them, which we'll show you in a minute, or you can do it the easy way, which is to sign into your control panel, which should look something like this. Then roll to the bottom and find Fantastico. Click on that. And then down the left side here, you'll see Drupal. Click on that. And now all you have to do is click on New Installation. And the little wizard comes up. It asks you what domain you're going to install it on, and it'll bring your current domain up. If you want to install it in a directory, in other words, yourdomain.com/directory name, you would put that here. So we're going to do that, and we'll just call this Drupal. But what you would do if you're using it in a directory is you would give the directory the keyword that is the main keyword for your site. Down here you need to give it admin access, so we'll just call it admin password. And then admin email address. So put something valid in there and just click install Drupal. It now tells you that it's going to create the database. Finish install. And now it's telling you where it installed Drupal and where you can go to administer it. We'll click on here. And there's Drupal installed in its most basic form. It puts some data in here just so the site works. And now you would go ahead with the setup process, which we will show you later. That's the first way to install Drupal. Now we'll go through the file upload process to do it manually. Now what we're going to do is show you how to install Drupal the manual way. Now what you will do is go to drupal.org, and over on the right side here you'll see Drupal 5.2 or whatever version is over here. Just click on that and then download the most recent version. Save it to your disk. Now we have it downloaded here, and you notice that it is in tar.gz format. This can't really be unzipped by most zip programs, and the easiest way to do it is to upload it to your server and do it there. You can also download a program called gunzip and use that and unzip it on your server, but it's easier to just put it up in your server and do it. So let's go back and go to our server, and then we'll go to the file manager and then into public HTML or htdocs or whatever your server uses. If you're not sure, you need to contact your server administrator. Now click on the little file folder there. And now what you want to do is upload that file. Click upload file, and then browse for it on your computer. Select it, and click upload. Once it's done, roll down until you find the file. There it is here. So click on the file name itself, and then extract file contents on the right over here. That has now extracted the file contents into a folder on your server. So we go back here and just refresh. And then we go into public HTML by clicking on the file folder again. And then we will find a folder in here called Drupal-5.2. There's our one we installed using Fantastico, and here's this one. So the first thing, let's rename this to something else, and in this case we'll just call it Drupal 2. Normally, again, you would be renaming this to the main keyword of your Drupal site. Alright, now we have Drupal 2 sitting here. Click on the file folder and go inside here, and you'll see that we have our files in here. Now what we need to do is we need to set up a database for Drupal. To do that, go back to your cPanel, go to MySQL databases, then we want to create a database. So new database, and we'll call it Drupal. And then you need to go back and you need to create a user for that database. So there's where you created the database, and you can see that the database is here. Here it is. You'll notice that it hasn't appended a name to the front of it, and that'll be the username of your particular account. So in our case, it's yourbest_Drupal is the name of the database. Now what we need to do is go down here and create a username. Again, we'll just call it Drupal. And we'll make the password Drupal. Create the user. Now we created a database and a username. We need to now attach the two together. So to do that, roll down until you see Add Users to your database. Pick your best Drupal as the user, or whatever you set it up as. Yours will be different. And again, name of the database on this side. Make sure you have all permissions and add user to database. Now we're done with that part. Now what we have to do now is run the automatic installer. The automatic installer is run by typing in your domain name / the folder name where it's installed / install.php. So in our case, it's our domain name / Drupal2 / install.php that we need to key in. So I've keyed that in, and an error has come up. You will most likely get this error as well. If you don't need to worry about it. But what this is telling us is that one of the permissions is set wrong. And what it is the settings.php file. So go back to your file manager, and then into Sites, then into Default. And you'll see here there's a settings.php file. Click on the file, then over on the right here, click on Change Permissions, and click all the boxes. That will set it to 777, and click Change. You'll see here that it's picked up our file permission to 777. Now we can go back here. If we refresh this now, it's now asking us for our database. So let's go back to our cPanel and get our database information. Unless, well, we can probably remember it. But in our case, it was yourbest_Drupal was the name of the database. And it happened to be that we set it up with the same username, and the password was just Drupal. There are some advanced options down here that you can set up. Most of the time you won't need to. Our database host, almost 100% of the time, is going to be localhost. Database port, if you're given a port, you need to set that up. And if you want to make a table prefix for your tables, for instance, if you're sharing databases with other programs, you would put a database prefix here. Click Save Configuration. It says Drupal indication Drupal installation is complete, and it's telling us that we need to go back and change those permissions back to the way they were. So go back in here and then change permissions, and then there. So what you should have is the top 3 boxes checked and the second box checked under user. Click change, and that's back to the way it was before we started. Now we just click this link, and our site is now installed just like it was with Fantastico. So it's not much more difficult. All we have to do is set up our database, change the permissions on one file, run the installer, and then change them back again. That concludes installing Drupal.